The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor yourself, inner knowing, and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine, podcast, and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Hello, I have the absolute privilege of reconnecting with Chris Melville, Sovereign Magazine's mindset and leadership business coach and mentor here at Sovereign. And she is a rapid transformational therapy practitioner, and alongside her transformative coaching sessions and workshops for the Sovereign community, she runs a thriving coaching practice. With over 30 years of corporate experience, she is passionate about empowering women to overcome mindset challenges and build thriving businesses. She is a true expert in personal empowerment and helps others to step boldly into their power. Welcome back, Chris.
Hello, Nicole. It's so nice to be back.
Yes, and you all need to stay tuned because we have some big announcements coming, and the topic that we're talking about today kind of leads a lot into it. So yeah, if you want to be in the know, we are recording this before it officially comes out, but you will be seeing a new show from Chris and I called The Boardroom and the Universe, where two women come together with two completely different strategies, but are two very sacred CEOs. And we're going to be touching on some of that today. So in our August New Moon issue, we are exploring growth, and in Chris's article, Growing into the CEO Your Life Needs, she really reveals that one of the biggest surprises she had when she started her business was how alone she felt. And then I laughed and said, Chris, do you know I never feel alone? Here you go. We are the yin and yang of each other. And this is why we are starting the Boardroom in the Universe, Chris, isn't it?
I'm really excited for it. It's going to be so much fun to do.
It is. And so despite all the years in all of your corporate roles and having autonomy most of the time, right, in your role, and where you trusted your own decisions and things like that, you always had this structure around you that somebody above you was able to kind of tick all the boxes of what your ideas or your work was about and kind of confirm for you that you were, quote unquote, doing a good job. But as you become a solopreneur, you are the one who's doing your performance evaluation, right? And so you talked about how stepping into running your own business, that foundation just suddenly disappeared overnight. So why don't you share a little bit more about your article for those who haven't read it yet and what you experienced?
It's interesting you bring up the performance reviews, because for a really long time in my corporate journey, I hated performance reviews. I was terrified of them. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired, and they're just going to tell me all the things that I've done wrong. And it was really only maybe the last couple of years when I was at the TV company that I started to understand, actually, it's a chance for improvement. You know, here's a few things you can improve. And quite often I would be offered the opportunity to go on a course, get some further education. Brilliant. So it's funny that I miss that kind of, yep, you're doing a good job. Yep, you're on the right path. Yep, this is some place that you need to improve. It's that. And it's also the whole kind of concept that everybody's got a boss, right? When you're working corporate, even if the CEO of Apple has shareholders that he's beholden to, it's really strange to not have a boss anymore, not to have anybody kind of sift through your ideas and say, okay, this is good, that needs a bit of work, or you need to prioritize this, or, you know, just that whole kind of backup. backup and also backup, accountability, and the buck stops with them, not with me.
Okay, here comes the universe at you, Chris.
Don't you want to save this for our show?
No, I don't. Well, it'll be in addition, right? If we choose this so on our show, we're going to be having what we call tension topics. And so if we choose this as a tension topic, we can expand longer. But I do feel like I have a boss. I have the universe, right? Helping me, showing me, telling me in different ways, yes, this way, no, not that way. And I also feel as though the energetics of my clients are a form of a boss for me. And so I want to go back to the performance evaluation, though. I don't do performance evaluations. I know that would absolutely drive you crazy, and here's why. I believe in in-time feedback. Telling me something once a year does not benefit me all year long. So I give the team in-time feedback, whatever I'm feeling in that moment and whatever performance improvement they need, I give it in time. And so when the team says to me, am I doing a good job? I say, well, of course you are, because I'm giving you feedback in time. I don't wait for a specific performance review that's magically on the anniversary of when you started. We are in constant dialogue so that trust is being built. So they feel confident in knowing that I'm doing a good job or I need to work on this now, because I'm not going to remember what you did well or not did well. I mean, I used to do performance evaluations in the nursing world. I actually got an award for how many I did in 30 days. They were just a task. They weren't that day in and day out of that person's actual work and me, how I actually felt about them on a day-to-day basis, right? It was just getting that performance evaluation done because it's required, right?
I think you picked up on something really interesting there about the day-to-day. You know, we all have bad days, and I've certainly had one boss who he gave me a good job review, but my pay rise or my bonus wasn't very good. And he was like really stroppy with me, and I wasn't sure what was going on. And about 2 days later, he slammed a piece of paper down on my desk and he's like, here's your new bonus. And it was more money, and it was like more in line with what I was expecting. And I came to find out a while later that one of the clients had actually approached him about me going to work for them. And I think he thought that I had been in cahoot with them. There's that somebody could be in a bad mood on the day they do your performance review if you're only doing it once a year. I love that concept because I'm all about constant communication, clear communication. It stops problems before they happen. And it's one of the hardest things in the world to do, is to have proper constructive conversations that are
What the Feminine, a show designed to show the world how to have crucial conversations and still possess conscious choice, remain curious, and be considerate of others' opinions, beliefs, and ideologies. In every episode, we go where most avoid, navigating nuance, honoring differences, and embodying the healthy feminine and masculine as the gateway to global healing. This is not about sides. This is about sovereignty, and you're invited to witness it all. Watch the live recordings exclusively in Sovereign Community, where the conversation begins with you.
every day. That can happen in time where emotions might be a bit high or deadlines might be looming or something like that. But I think that makes such a difference. Such a difference.
It does. And I always say, if you're not hearing from me, guess what? That means you're doing a good job, because otherwise you're going to be hearing from me. But I also have a rule. If I see it one time, I don't always say something, because they could be having an off day. I have it all the time. We could be making mistakes. If I see it a second time, I gently ask for that thing. And if it happens a third time, then we really need to have a conversation, because then it's like a pattern at that point. And so that's where the growth comes in, right? I am not a micromanager. I can't stand micromanagement, but it also allows them to have the opportunity to shift and change in time and feel good about that, right? It's forward motion versus this being scared about receiving feedback. And I think that we do rely so heavily. I'll never forget this boss of mine. She was like, I can't stand that you sit around and wait for you to be directed. And I looked at her and I was like, your role is the director Okay, like you would absolutely be very angry at me if I did not follow your direction.
Right.
Right? But it's this whole like seeking the validation of that higher person that we're missing in entrepreneurship. And so I do want to tap into outsourcing our responsibility a little bit because I don't want to downplay the loneliness of entrepreneurship. I just feel like I have such a connected spiritual team and human team that I don't feel, lonely. However, there is this outsourcing of responsibility to avoid being able to make decisions sometimes. And as you develop your CEO mindset, there can be this point at which you start to wait for approval to maybe show up. And I would love for you to share what surprised you most about where you saw these patterns operating within you beyond just decision making.
I know I struggled with visibility when I started, and especially showing up on video for a lot of different reasons. And I think the lack of accountability made it easier for me to hide and not push myself. Especially when you're starting, but you do so many things. You have to wear all the hats in your business, right? And you've got so much on your plate, and you're trying to start your business, trying to grow it, you're trying to find your feet, you're trying to sell things before you've sold them before, and you don't know if they're going to work, and you don't have testimonials, and you don't have client stories and all that kind of stuff. It's overwhelming. And at some point, there will be bits that you drop because it's like, I just can't take that on. And it's easy to drop the really important things that move the needle on your business because they can be the most uncomfortable. And you can justify it by saying, I don't have time for that. I need to focus on this. But things that move the needle in your business are things that should always be prioritized.
Okay, let's go into steps to your sovereign self because I want to go a little bit deeper on that.
Oh,
You don't know what I'm going to ask you. Never do. Okay. When you're feeling uncomfortable in the business, but you know you need to move the needle, and it might be something either that makes you uncomfortable, let's say perhaps visibility or something like that, or just something that you simply know you need to do to move that needle. How do you regulate yourself and your nervous system or get that encouragement or courage to do that thing? Like, what are some things that you do to help you move that needle?
well, great example is the visibility, and knowing that I was uncomfortable with it. I tried to identify why. And, a couple of things I couldn't do anything about. But one was very much around the way I showed up on a live or video. I felt like I waffled. I felt like I talked about things that I didn't intend to talk about, and I never knew how to stop it. And so I brought in the logical side of my brain. So I think of like my subconscious as like Bond, kind of blows everything up, reactive, all that kind of stuff, and then it just goes away and leaves everybody else to clean up the mess. And the logical side of my brain as Q. So I bring in the Q side of my brain and I ask for some tips. And I came up with 3 things to do. And one was I took 3 talking points for a 5-minute live, and that's all I talked about. And I bullet pointed them and put them next to my camera, so I never strayed off topic. Practice for 10 or 15 minutes before I went on, so that everything that I was going to say felt natural. And then I set a timer for 5 minutes, and I stopped as soon as that was done. Just like, okay, I've got to go now. Bye. It is about finding ways to take action. So there's a very small part of the brain that sits in the front of it. And basically, when we are scared of something, when we're stressed out about something, this part of our brain, it's like a gear shift in a car, and it goes into neutral. And it can't go forwards and it can't go backwards. And the only way you get it out of neutral is by taking a step, by taking some type of action. So when we're telling people you just have to take a step, just take a step a day, but just get started, there is a physiological reason for this. your brain is stopping you. It's trying to stop you from taking that step. But once you take just one step, it's not like you have to keep fighting it. It's just automatically back on board.
I love this. Okay. We are going to be talking about some absolutely bombshell topics on our next podcast for the full moon. And I'm going to plug it now because I think everybody who owns a business is going to want to listen to this next episode. It is called Hitting Rock Bottom, and your article is called When the Reassurance Runs Out. And we're going to be talking about what happens when the real stakes are there and you need money. Or even when you're like, okay, my business is not working. Am I even still employable anymore? Or the thing is also learning to sit with uncertainty, right? We're going to be talking about some really hot topics. So if you haven't liked, shared, subscribed, definitely do that because you don't want to miss Chris's next episode. She's also in our community.sovereign-magazine.com. All her details are in the show notes. And if you want to catch out the Boardroom in the universe, you will definitely want to watch that on Substack and YouTube. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for listening. This is the last episode for this issue. I'll be back again on the full moon with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help guide you to your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.